This next news story comes to us from GameSpot, written by Timur Hussein. Bungie layoffs include senior execs Luke Smith and Mark Noseworthy. Luke Smith and Mark Noseworthy, two senior executives of Bungie's, were both part of the recent round of layoffs, according to a new report. Speaking on his Game Mess Decides podcast, Jeff Grubb confirmed that the duo were working on Payback, a new game set in the Destiny universe, but were let go as part of sweeping job losses at the now PlayStation-owned studio. Smith and Noseworthy were labeled as working on Payback. It was going to be the next big thing for Destiny, but not Destiny 3, Grubb said. Luke Smith and Mark Noseworthy are no longer at Bungie. They were let go. They were caught in the executive and leadership shakeup mentioned in the blog post. Payback has been shelved. There's been an update to this article. Sources have clarified that Smith and Noseworthy's departure came as the Payback project was shut down, after which executives restructuring meant they had no path forward at Bungie. That doesn't make it better, but the reason they were let go is because it's not that they were let go and then the project was shelved, is that the project was shelved and so they were let go. So not any better, but just a clearer order of events, basically. Smith was executive director at Bungie and became notable public-facing representative for the studio, having guided Destiny 2's narrative back to a place that excited fans and more clearly set up a long-term story for the sci-fi shooter. And Noseworthy, meanwhile, was vice president of the Destiny universe and responsible for the overall strategy of Destiny as an intellectual property and a business. GameStop has contacted Bungie for a statement. Sounds like they haven't gotten anything back. But on July 31st, Bungie executive Pete Parsons confirmed that the company is cutting around 220 people from several departments. This number represents 17% of its workforce. A further 150 people are reportedly being moved around Sony Interactive Entertainment. Interesting. So 220 people are cut, but then 150 people, they're leaving Bungie, but they're not losing their jobs. They're just going to other studios. So,
right, and I can see why.
So what's going on?
Because they're probably next on the chopping block.
Yeah, that's wild though. Like Bungie's just like going down to a skeleton crew. Due to rising costs of development and industry shifts, as well as enduring economic conditions, it has become clear that we need to make substantial changes to our cost structure and focus development efforts entirely on Destiny and Marathon, Parsons said. He also indicated that layoffs at every level of Bungie and that most of Bungie's executive or senior leader positions are impacted. As part of the layoff announcement, it was also confirmed that Bungie is working on a brand new game, but it's not Destiny 3 or Payback. Instead, this new sci-fi project will be developed at the new internal studio being set up within PlayStation.
What?
So not at Bungie.
No, wait,
so why is it say it says Bungie is working on a project, but it's at a new internal studio?
Well, not only that, but you just said that they're paring down to focus on Destiny development, but then the new game that they're working on is not Destiny. So what is it?
Yeah,
which one is it? Somebody's
not.
That's contradictory.
Yes. Word salad.
Are we working on Destiny or are we not working on Destiny? And I understand you have to pare down because Destiny 2 is almost done, but from what I understand, after Destiny 2 is over, that was it. They are off the Destiny boat.
Right.
So
yeah.
Why would you say there's nothing left? Isn't this the final expansion for Destiny that just came out?
I think so. The layoffs follow the release of Destiny 2's The Final Shape expansion, which was very positively received by fans. Although Destiny 2 remains one of the most popular games as a service titles on the market, the significant job loss at Bungie have called into question what content players can expect going forward. According to Grubb, the larger expansions that Bungie has traditionally released are unlikely to return, and players will instead be given smaller content packs. Bungie is also working on a new Marathon, which is coming back as an extraction shooter. So that's it. They're basically slowly sunsetting Destiny 2 without outright saying it, and then working on Marathon, which is just going to be a multiplayer extraction shooter game. And apparently a new IP, but it's not clear whether they're working on it or this new internal studio is, because it says they are, but then literally in the same sentence, it says it's being developed at a new internal studio within PlayStation. So maybe not. It sounds like Bungie's getting shut down. Basically, Bungie got bought by Xbox. They hated it. They left. They're like, we can't survive. They got bought by PlayStation. And now they might just get shut down.
No. They got bought by Activision. They hated it. They left.
That's true. They got
now they got bought by PlayStation, which word on the street is they actually scammed PlayStation. I don't know if you heard about that.
No, I didn't.
So word on the street, from what I understand, allegedly, because we're already fighting one McDonald's themed lawsuit right now. Allegedly, Bungie, when they initially offered, or when they were talking to PlayStation about this partnership deal thing, they overvalued themselves by a good margin, and Sony took that offer that they proposed.
Okay. Wow.
So based on like their assets and what they had going on at the time, they were definitely, and it's almost like it was known that they were overvaluing themselves, over-evaluating, and Sony didn't know that, and Sony took the high deal. So dang. I say all that to say, you got all this extra cash out of this deal, and you still couldn't keep all the people around. That's straight up, if it's true, straight up greed.
Yeah, which is sad,
either that or they were hurting more financially than they were letting on.
Yeah.
And had bills to pay off.
Man, which is sad because Bungie is like been so beloved for so long. And so for it to kind of come to this, and for some of the shady stuff coming out, like now hearing that, it's like, oh shoot, like
yeah. It's also not the same Bungie though. Like it hasn't been the same Bungie for what, 10 plus years?
That's
when
true.
we think of Bungie, we think of a different Bungie than it is today.
That's true.
So
yeah, again, hope all those people can get back on their feet, whether it's in game industry or somewhere else. But man, what a wild year. I mean, layoffs have been happening consistently for the last couple of years, but the number, like if you look at the actual like number of people that have been laid off in 2024, it's absolutely bonkers crazy, like off the charts. Let me hang on. I gotta find something real quick.
What?
Kojima posted a video in our Discord, and it was called "Private Equity is Coming for Gaming." I don't know. Did you have a chance to watch that? He put it in there.
I saw that he posted it, but I didn't get a chance to watch it in long form. Can you give me a TLDR?
Very, very good video. It's by a YouTube channel called More Perfect Union. So they're obviously very pro-union. So there's bias, but I don't think they're wrong either, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Basically, this person kind of dives into and investigates. He goes through like looking at the recent games that have been canceled, looking at like game sales over the last few years, how things have been changing, going up and down and whatnot. He jumps into this story about Embracer Group and everything that's been happening with them, where they paid a bunch of money for stuff and then they got some backers, and then backers backed out. They got screwed over. They had to do a bunch of layoffs. He kind of goes into a lot of the reasons why layoffs are happening. And it ultimately comes down to just, again, like the bottom line and profits being most important. And not about the art and craft of video games anymore, and making entertaining products, pieces of entertainment or pieces of art to appreciate. It's just purely money. So
right.
Highly recommend watching the video. It's in our Discord. The link's in our Discord. If you're curious, it's called Private Equity is Coming for Gaming. And yeah, he interviews people who got let go from Embracer Group and from like Microsoft Activision with stuff with the merger and different people. And ultimately, like it kind of comes down to the baseline of the video is unions, like unions is what's going to help in the situation. I think it's a good step, and that will help in a lot of situations. But what I responded to Kojima, I guess I can just read it. I said, that was an incredibly insightful video. Thanks for sharing. I think my thoughts are in line with this video, mostly, honestly. Either studios need to start unionizing, or games need to be less about profits and more about art. Unfortunately, I think it's too late for the big game developers to not make more money. So that leaves unions. Unions aren't perfect either, but at this point, I feel like it's all we got. I also wonder if there could be a video game revolution at some point where indie studios start getting more of the market share and making more money. At that point, it's up to the heads of those studios to not make the same mistakes as the big studios. Growth is fine, but not at the expense of the quality of the art. It's happening. It's already happening that people are turning to indie games over AAA titles and more and more. I didn't finish my thought, but kind of like that's
rode the wave early, baby. Let's go.
I feel like that's where we're at. Like the big companies are so big, I don't think they can go back, right?
At this point, no, because they have to make games at this scale, because now their baseline is whatever these games make.
Yeah. So
you
there's
can't
always
go
going to
back
be
down because you're going to have to let people go and downsize, and that's not going to happen.
So there's always going to be more and more layoffs, and there's going to be more and more microtransactions and more all this extra crap. And so, yeah, like my hope is either like, all right, get those studios unionizing, or like, man, imagine the day where people actually start putting their money where their mouth is and just, all right, let's start supporting indie games so indie game developers can get bigger and grow and make money. And it's okay to have a giant studio and still keep your priorities straight, though. Like that is possible to do. That is possible to do. And I would hope would happen with these indie studios because of how, like, where they came from, you know? You would hope there would kind of be some sort of, granted, at one point EA was an indie studio, you know, and all these like, so it's kind of, sort of, like a lot of these studios started out small, but yeah, I don't know. There almost needs to be a refresh, in my opinion. Like these big studios need to move on, and the little studios need to be the new big guys with some fresh heads of, you know, the CEOs and fresh outlooks on, oh, all right, we're here to actually make art and to make entertainment and not just to make money. Money is good, but we're not at the expense of the art and the entertainment.
Bingo.
So, go check out the video. It's very good. I appreciate Kajoma sharing it with us. And I don't know. That's what kind of hearing more and more about these layoffs happening. It's like, all right, something major needs to change in the games industry because it's such a volatile space right now. I know everywhere is kind of having issues, but boy, like games industry, it's to the point where people are getting laid off and they're swearing off. They're like, nope, I'm not going back in. I'm going to any other industry at this point because video games, like there was one guy actually in that video, they interviewed him. He's like, I got laid off, and then the studio I moved to got acquired, and within like 6 months, I was laid off again. So he got laid off twice in the same year. I'm like, that.
I would have been done. I would have been like, you know what?
Sucks.
Making games is my dream, but I also need to, I need to reliably eat.
Yes.
And I can't do it here, unfortunately. You know, I have to be realistic.
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So,
I also want to say, and I think I've done it before. I want to give a shout out to the rightful leader, or the rightful should have been leader of PlayStation, Mr. Sean Layden, who they passed over for Jim Lee and not Jim Lee. Ooh, that's DC. Jim Ryan, who they passed over for Jim Ryan, and are now feeling the effects of that. He was saying way back in the PS4, PS3 days that these games are getting too big, and that going at this rate, if we keep making games this big, it's going to be unsustainable. He said that over a decade ago. And now here we are, and he was 100% correct. 100%. He didn't mean don't make any tentpole games. He meant making every game a tentpole game is not sustainable. And we are clearly seeing the effects of that now. So my PlayStation president was right.
Yeah, no, 100%. And even, so my thought is like, okay, like how do big companies get to a point where they can get back to that kind of grassroots like approach to making games again? It's like, well, either
you have to slash yourself, you have to cut yourself back down. There's no other way.
Yeah, so either more layoffs have to happen, unfortunately, or what they could do is like what needs to happen is like, all right, instead of being one giant conglomerate like Microsoft is becoming, like let those studios be all individual independent studios. Like obviously that involves someone buying those from the company, but that's what I almost wish would happen too. Like, all right, you don't need a bajillion what do they call it? First party studios. Like have 1 or 2, 3 maybe, and then like let all these studios be their own thing and do their own thing and be small, you know, and they don't need to be part of this giant conglomerate of just a mess, because that's where a lot of these issues are coming from, is all these places are growing too quickly with all these acquisitions. It's like, no, let's get back to the good old days where you just had like couple first party studios and everything else is third party. Like, why not? So far, having all the first party studios hasn't done that much.
It hasn't
good.
helped Xbox.
Hasn't helped. Yeah, exactly.
At all. Well, not at all. I mean, it barely has even moved the needle, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, barely. Yeah, exactly.
Can you name an Xbox game this gen that everybody unanimously was like, oh my God, this thing is awesome. I understand why Xbox wanted to move forward with this acquisition plan, because I can't.
No, I can't.
Starfield was okay. Hellblade was okay. What other tempos were there this gen? Really, I'm talking about, like, if you went to a movie theater, let's liken it to that. And there's Xbox games up there, right? Like, those are the games that are going to be on the marquee. Your Hellblades, your Halo Infinite.
Oof, yeah,
was okay.
Exactly.
It was, at best, it was okay. That's what I'm saying. Like, these games that would be on the marquee, they're not shifting the industry. They're not. There hasn't been one that was unanimously like, okay, we all get it. This rules. Except Hi-Fi Rush, but that wasn't even like a tentpole game. But everybody liked it. And again, that's a perfect example because it's a smaller game.
Shut down. It was a smaller game from a smaller studio within Xbox,
and they didn't want it.
They don't want it. I just don't understand what is happening. Yeah, no, there's not been. I mean, there's Forza games, but they come out all the time. Like, yeah, they're fun, they're good, but they're not groundbreaking.
They're not. I play them all the time.
Psychonauts 2.
I play them every day. Oh yeah. Okay. Fine. I'll give you one.
That's about it. That's about it. Yeah.
In 4, almost coming up on 5 years of a generation.
Yeah, not ideal. Not ideal. I heard Pentiment was pretty good, but I didn't get to play it.
Again, but that's not a marquee. That's like a smaller.
Yeah, exactly. It was like a small, like, little spin-off
where they got to take a chance and be creative. Same deal with Hi-Fi Rush.
Isn't it do more of that? Please, just do more of that. Xbox, PlayStation. So sad. Thank you so much for watching that clip from our podcast. Remember, if you want to watch the whole episode, the full episode, link will be in the description below. You can click on that and check it out. We got listener questions. We got more news segments. We got what you playing. We got a lot of fun things. So yeah, more than just the news. There's a lot more to the show that you should go check out. So remember, click that link in the description. Check out that full episode.